reason we're here today is because Stian Andersen has released an amazing photo book about AHA. He's been traveling with AHA for 10 years, documenting their travels and recording sessions. So, first of all, welcome to Stian Andersen, the photographer.
Thank you.
I remember when I was 9 years old, and my mother bought me a cassette, the first cassette that I ever got.
I'm going to need a bit more monitoring because I don't hear him over the pad.
Just put it up.
So turn the monitor up. Is there anyone in charge of the sound?
Is there any monitoring here?
More feedback in the monitor, please.
I need them speakers turned up.
Can you hear me from here?
No, not very well. I just hear the slapback. But it doesn't really matter, does it?
Well, the first cassette I ever got was Hunting High and Low, yeah, by AHA. So I basically grew up with AHA as the biggest pop stars in Norway, and almost 30 years later, you still are, and now you're documented in this photo book by Stian. So welcome to Mr. Morten Harket. Stian, the last time I interviewed you, you had released a photo book with Norwegian notorious rock band Turbo Negro, and in that book you captured a lot of dramatic scenes from traveling with a rock and roll circus around the world. But now you've been traveling with AHA for 10 years. What's the biggest difference between traveling with a band like Turbo Negro and then entering the world of AHA?
Luckily, I didn't get my head chopped off, so I survived. But what I've tried to do with this project, the similarities, is to present AHA in the type of same rock and roll way, like the grainy, hardcore, dirty look, which I think presents a big contrast. Yeah.
Looking at this photo we got here,
yeah,
which is one of the photos from the book.
Yeah.
Where is this photo taken?
From Chile, actually. Yeah, from the to the mountain tour. Big venue, I remember. Blondie supported them. I was like, wow, yeah, this is good. So it's like, I think it's like a typical iconic picture that tells everything about Morten being a great frontman that he is.
How is it working with a photographer around you at almost all times, Morten?
Well, I think that's two questions. What it's like to work with a photographer around me, and what it's like to work with Stian around me.
How is it working with Stian around you?
Well, Stian actually, he has a way of fitting in where he is both right in your face and kind of not noticeable at the same time. So that's why he has become very good, I think. It's one of the reasons, certainly. So it's been, for the band, I think I can speak on behalf of Paul and Magna as well, it's really been easy to work with Stian. And then now you've been working with him for 10 years. How long did it take for you to trust him being around you? Mind you, the past 10 years have been really fast. So I haven't felt them. Earlier 10-year periods have lasted longer than this last one. But 10 years, I haven't thought of it as 10 years until you tell me now that it's actually been over a period of 10 years, which means that Stian is sitting on documentation now that's kind of becoming valuable.
But it's something that develops gradually, you know. It starts with them phoning me up, can you do this? And you have the successful first photo shoot. You do the second one and you feel there's a good chemistry and you develop a trust thing. And we started to talk about, can we do something more than just like the promotion and cover pictures. Didn't really know what to do in 2005, how to do more, but it ended up in this project, and yeah, they wouldn't have let me into the cage without this trust, so to speak.
You've been traveling all around the world with AHA, and in the book there are lots of pictures of enthusiastic fans. What was the most dramatic moment in your time covering AHA?
This is from Rio, and I was sitting in Paul's limo.
This is taken from inside the car.
This is from inside the limo. I just finished up the last ever gig in Rio.
No, it's not inside the limo, it's from inside.
This is from inside. Clever boy, clever boy. Yeah, and we couldn't get out of the fucking place because it was so crowded, and the crowd went mental. And people is talking about Justin Bieber mania. This is AHA mania. Fucking hell. I mean, this is we couldn't get out, and Paul decided to roll down the window, and they. I mean, I was shit scared. And for them, it's just another day at work. For me,
just another day at the office.
Another day at the office. You know what I mean? Like, but for me, it's a scary experience.
Well, it's both true, and at the same time, it's a volatile scene always, and things can actually turn ugly and turn bad, and people can get hurt. So it carries a lot of responsibility that we are, and then any act doing what we do, you become very aware of that. The main reason for carrying security is to make sure that situations don't get out of hand. That it's not really to so much look after the band as to actually look after the crowd as well. That's how it works.
You have some more pictures here from. I think you have some pictures. This is from a.
This is recording the mountain, and this is actually recording the title track in New Jersey, Hoboken, and I mean. This part of the album, they're recording in this quite rock and roll studio. It's the same studio that Sonic Youth normally uses. Quite dim the lighting, and I try to, be. It was shitty lighting, and I you know the building lamps that you use. So just 5 minutes before he came in, I was like, just to get this shot, I have to just plug it in and just do it. And I did, and it's an immense heat that develops. And being so professional and a gentleman at the same time, he didn't care at all. And I stood like 15 centimeters from his face, just capturing it all while he laid down the vocals.
That's 15 centimeters from my face. What kind of lens were you using?
Fisheye. So I mean, but that's so. I mean, that's. People are talking about pop stars and diva and all that and shit, but I mean, he didn't mind at all. And I stood there, I was like shit scared from sneezing and everything, just to ruin the vocal track. He didn't mind. And after 30 minutes, Paul came in. Stian, do you have any good photos now? Because I would love to have some good vocals on the album too. And I was like, and he just kicked me out. But he just never said a word.
Morten, does it affect you having a photographer this close when you're recording vocals, or do you just like zone out of it?
It's something you learn to accept. It's not something you love. I've never loved being photographed. I've never really wanted to be photographed. But I understand why it's happening, and that it's part of the communication of everything that we do. So it's something you just do. And then when you do it, if you want, then you want to do it well. I want to say that you touched on a very sore point in the difference between shooting promotional shoots, doing promotional shoots, and doing documentary shooting, which is fine, really. I have never had a problem with the documentary side of things, but the promotional side is shit. It's really the worst. Also, maybe I think for the photographers, to go there in order to be photographed and to present yourself and kind of, there is no such thing as not posing, because no matter what you do, it is some kind of pose. And it's not natural, it doesn't feel natural, and I've never liked it. That's the hard part of it. But documentary thing, where you follow us the way you've done, is super, because we just do what we do, and I do remember now that you did set up this, and then I kind of get into the other mode. But to have someone like yourself that really fit in the way you have a talent for that. Also for the type of lifestyle that it becomes, to travel like this, to live out of a suitcase, and to be ready and available, ready to shoot from the hip at any point in time, and just be part of whatever goes on is a skill.
Is there any moments when you're traveling around, like you said, you're living out of a suitcase, always ready to go to the next city? Has there been any incidents between you where you just had said to Stian, enough, just leave me alone for
only when people get out of hand, when what they do gets out of hand, when you understand why they do it, or why people need something, and it's a warranted reason, then you just accept it and you deal with it in a way. But the problem obviously always is that I am just one person, and because of what I do, I do something that becomes very personal to people that pay attention to it, that allow it into their lives, and it builds a personal relationship without the personal contact, which is the normal type of contact. And that's the area that is always a battle to try and deal with for both sides, for the listener as well as the performer or artist.
But is there any time when you come home from a long tour and you're alone in your house and you look around, where is the photographer?
I've never needed to look at Stian.
This is another really nice shot we have here. This is also from the time we got at foot of the mountain in New Jersey, and for some reason this picture, even though it's taken pretty recently, it has kind of an 80s feel to it.
Just being on a sailing boat with a heart. It's just, oh man, it's just...
It was a very nice little trip. It was a real break from that studio in, was it Hoboken?
Hoboken, yes.
Yeah. And the guy turned up with a sailboat.
I think it was a great, fresh breath of air, so to speak, for the band and for everyone.
It was great to see New York from the seaside.
I like you saying that, because I'm thinking that sometimes that you guys is just another day at work, but I think it was good for everyone just to come out and just experience that. I
can see Paul did my hair there.
It's such a bad hairdresser, isn't it?
This is almost like a calm moment in the book, because there's always in the book there's in lots of the photos there's fans around, and it's a concert and there's lots of people. But what was the most dramatic moment that you had while traveling with AHA and shooting that?
It must have been all the crazy moments down in South America, I think, where you just felt that these people are eating the whole crew and band alive. For me, it's a massive shock, because that's some of the stuff that I wanted to, some of the stories I wanted to show with this book. That the audience around the world, they are quite different. You're in. No offense to Norway, but you play an Oslo show, and that's quite different from, South America, for example. And the first time I went down there, that was just a slap in the face, in a good way, because the sheer volume of the crowd and how they go crazy when those guys go on stage. I was like, wow, fucking hell.
I have to say though, it's easy to know what you're talking about, and at the same time, that I think passion and emotional response and sort of being genuine about the moment is in all people and in all nationalities and all people, no matter where you go. We have different ways of showing it, and I find that in wherever I go, I also see the same. When you go to South America, it's exotic to you. When South Americans come to Norway, it's exotic to them. And if you live in South America for a while and with people, from these countries, you assimilate this and you become more like they in many ways. Maybe not always, but so it's also your mindset that kind of calls for that difference. I think.
But Stian, you've been working with almost every rock and pop band there is in Norway for decades. When you started working with Morten and a-ha, what was the first thing that you were looking for to try to capture in the photos?
With a-ha is quite special because I have such deep respect for the whole back catalogue, so to speak. I mean, I was a massive fan when I was a kid. I even had posters of this guy in my room. I never. Nice one. I never told those. I didn't tell the guy. It's the first time I mean. I had the poster. That's like the fun side of it, but when it comes to me taking pictures of the band, it's another story because you are so focused on doing good pictures that you forget all that stuff. But I have such deep respect for all the music, and that's always the base for my job. Do you know what I mean?
But have the way you looked at a-ha and the way you listen to the music, has that changed after working with them for such a long time?
No, not really. No.
You still have the posters on your wall?
Sadly, I took them down. No, my mom just threw me out of my old room. I had to buy a flat. Sorry, Mom. I no, she didn't throw me out.
She's here somewhere.
She said she didn't throw me out.
But one of the most recognizable thing about a-ha is that it's like three such strong individuals with their own identity. What, if you were to describe working with the three different persons in a-ha, how do you relate to them? Is there any difference between?
I relate them as a band. You know, they're units. So and they're also three different persons. So yeah, it's. But first of all, it's a-ha as a band. If I was to approach a-ha as a three-piece unit, it would be a little bit difficult for both me and the band, if you know what I mean.
Morten, one thing I'm curious about, because now you're doing some solo concerts this weekend. What does the future hold for a-ha?
For a-ha, yeah. You're sneaking back in.
I mean, what does
it's the reunion? That's what
it's Paul and Magna and myself that chose to disband, to stop the process of being in a-ha. Very much in order to open up for other things. We've spent 25 years of our lives for the band and the idea of the band, and nothing can kind of take that away. It's there, and it's a huge part of our lives, no matter what the future holds. So I don't really speculate in what the future holds for the three of us doing this together. But for a-ha itself, there is a lot of music that we leave behind and that we have left behind. And that's very much a living thing, which a song like Keiko Me has shown us very profoundly, that that's a song that has lived its own life for 25 years, more or less, irrespective of what we have been doing. It's just gone on and done its own thing. And I think it's almost like a cartoon image of how that works. Once it kind of permeates a certain level of society, then it stays alive. It stays there. And
looking back at the legacy of a-ha, now it's been some time since you did the farewell shows. What is for you personally the most important thing that you managed to achieve with a-ha?
I think that we are genuine. I think that what we do, our focus, when we look for that music, has always been for the music and the musical experience itself. It's a kind of a quest of the spirit. Music is, to quote Håvard Rem, who I've done songwriting with, he said that once, that music is one of the few things now that reminds us that we have a soul. But you have to be, this soul is quite sensitive to whether you are genuine about what you do. And this is not you're either genuine or you're not. You're always in a battlefield of compromise as well when you're making music. In particular, if you're making music that has a commercial drive to it as well, because you want to communicate on a level. It needs to work for radio, it needs to work for television, and these are sort of represent a framework, with tight framework within which you get to do your thing. But that is a tough and interesting discipline to the challenge.
a-ha is one of the best pop bands in the whole wide world, as we know, and they also they can deliver on stage, some really good live band. So no wonder why we love them.
So no matter what the future holds for a-ha, if there ever will be a reunion, which I think every Norwegian really hope there will be sometime, and obviously a lot of people from the rest of the world. No matter if the future holds anything, we still have the legacy of a-ha, and we still have those amazing photos that Stian has taken of your band. Our time is running out, so we're going to leave the stage, and there will be more entertainment in a couple of minutes. But first of all, thank you to everybody who came here today from all around the world.